Pro tip I just learned is that if you want to buy new chairs, put them into a YouTube video, and then you can write them off. So today we have a little talk show style. Let me introduce you to our first guest, Andres Colleen. Hey, buddy. Wait.
How you doing, man?
Pretty good, man. How are you?
It's nice to be here.
You know, it's good to have you here. Thanks for making it over.
It's
Thanks
a pleasure.
for making the trip.
It's a treat to be here.
It
on
is.
Your show.
It's a treat to have you.
Don't forget the leg.
You know,
you gotta do the leg.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
You know, it's not a treat all the time.
What is it?
There's a hard truth out there to being a musician in 2023, 2024, 2025. I can't predict the future, but hard truths we've learned.
We learned as musicians
that
it isn't all pink and beautiful.
it really isn't.
It isn't.
You know, but your voice sounds beautiful and deep right now.
Well, I don't know. It's maybe something about these microphones or something.
Yeah, something about these. We'll talk more about the microphones later. This video is sponsored by Phoenix Pro PDP2. But what's the first hard truth that you learned as a musician, as a gigging professional musician?
Well, you forget why you started.
Tell me more about that. Ruminate on that a bit.
Let me tell you. I was 12 years old when my dad gave me a guitar. I went to my first guitar classes in school. And I fell in love with guitar. First thing after brushing my teeth every morning was to pick up that guitar and play the one chord, the G major that I learned from a friend.
That was the first one, G major.
Oh, because my teacher didn't show up the first class. So it was a friend who taught me my
stood
first
up
chord.
on your, that's the first hard truth. Flaky musician standing you up.
The guitar teacher didn't show up on the first class.
Nice, you know, classic.
Typical. But my friend pulled that guitar and he's like, okay, let me show you. Let me tune it for you first. Oh, tune it. Oh, what's tuning? Okay. Fast forward 20 years or more, right? I'm 37.
You tell me.
Started at 12.
You tell me, buddy.
You do the math,
all right,
okay? I'm not good at geography, so you do the math, okay? But all these years later, and I find myself playing all these cover songs. Some of them are great, and I enjoy playing them, but sometimes I finish the show, and I'm like, I just played all these covers. I forgot to play my songs.
The reason that you started, the music you fell in love with, was not even represented in your entire set.
You know?
You got too caught up in the game.
Too caught up in the game.
Because there's a real hard truth out there about what people will pay you to play and what you might want to actually play in your heart.
Correct.
And this isn't a bad thing. This is just the reality of it all, which I actually want to bring this to my hard truth out here. It's that nobody cares about your original music. Nobody cares about it. Maybe they will care about it, but you have to make them care about it. And there are different avenues to doing this. We've both played like the restaurant, private event, gig circuit.
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, you know, every now and then people are like, oh, play one of your originals. Always happy to do it, right?
Yeah.
But for the most part, they're not going to recognize your originals because a lot of the time they're not there to see you.
Yeah.
They're there for music.
And most of the time, people are nice enough that when you say, okay, I'm going to play an original now, most of the time people have basic manners and they'll be like, oh, great, let's hear it.
And maybe they really like it.
Maybe they don't want to hear an original, but they're like, okay, let's see what you got, right?
For sure.
But once in a while, you get an entitled person. And when you live in Sarasota, you're going to get a few of those.
Yeah.
And they'll be like, no. And they'll cross their arms.
They really say that?
Yeah.
They say no.
I had a lady go like, we don't want original. We want to hear Sweet Caroline.
That's tough.
It's crazy, but it happens.
That was on my no playlist, Sweet Caroline, just so you know. I refuse. And now there's like this commercial about like a bar singing a cappella. I don't know if you've seen that. It's the worst commercial that has ever existed, Sweet Caroline. I'm really sorry. This wasn't meant to be hating on Sweet Caroline.
Yeah,
but
I have nothing against the song, but when you play the same song that has not great musical value and you play it over and over, of course you're gonna...
Yeah, so you got to read the room, know what gig you're at, you know, please the people for sure, and then know that, like, all right, they didn't come for the original music, but maybe they'll stay for the original music. Maybe try it out there, make it easy for them to follow you. But it's a separate thing.
Exactly.
Playing gigs that are paid and then playing original music. Because usually you don't get paid to play your original music in most traditional venues.
Correct. Yeah. But it is amazing how you can play your original, don't even ask permission, don't even say anything, And very often they'll be like, wow, that was beautiful. Yeah, I wrote that. And oh, wow. The surprise sometimes is a good thing.
And then maybe they become a fan. But naturally, nobody's going to care about your original music. I'm sorry. Your mom might listen to it, and that's great.
Yeah.
But nobody's going to care. I'm really sorry. You know what they do care about, though, is great fidelity and audio quality, which brings us to the sponsor of today's video, Phoenix Pro. This is the PDP-2 microphone, which the reason that these came in so clutch today is because as soon as we started filming this video, the lawn service started outside, the dog started barking downstairs, everybody came in at the same time, and you didn't hear any of it. Whereas like the mics on the cameras picked up all that stuff.
Everything, yeah.
This is perfect.
Yeah.
These are under $100.
Incredible.
For 2 mics that go into one input that I just have into my Bose PA.
And it's so handy to have wireless microphones when you're a gigging musician, especially if you do private events. You don't want to give your main microphone to someone who maybe has COVID or bad breath.
That's right.
Correct?
That's why you just have these very inexpensive, you can easily
they're ready
swap
to
them
go.
out.
And that way they can move around and they can go over there to the other side of the room and do their speech, their very short and sweet 40-minute speech about how much they love the groom and all this kind of stuff.
Sure, whatever. Yeah.
But yeah, it's handy to have.
Yeah.
You need this.
These are awesome. Phoenix Pro, affiliate link in the description. Thank you to Phoenix Pro for sponsoring the video. Hit us with another cold, hard truth about being a musician.
Another one.
Give me another one.
Another hard truth.
Yeah.
You can become a pleaser and forget to please yourself.
A man's got to please himself.
And not like that.
No.
Of course.
This kind of piggybacks off of what we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Right?
You play so many covers and you forget to do the art of music, which is maybe write your songs and show them with excitement what you wrote and your melodies and all of this. And you forget to do that.
Mm-hmm. The way that I think this kind of goes into like playing live and stuff like that is I see a lot of live performers doing gigs that we've probably done before, and they look dead inside. It's like they're going through the motions. They're just playing the same chords for every song.
Yeah.
Everything is key of G chords with like a capo just moving around. And I never wanted to become like that. So even if I had a gig where I was like, all right, I'm going to play a bunch of covers or something, I'm going to find a way to put my own spin on it.
But you know what? The only thing is that with time, you eventually become what you say you want. Just because you keep doing it so long and you suddenly start becoming that, even if you said you were not. So the only way to skip that, to get out of the matrix and do it, it will be to keep in mind what makes you happy, in my opinion.
Yeah, sure.
So if writing your songs and playing them out, or maybe put an original all over the platforms and advertise it, and maybe put together a little band and jam to your songs and promote that. If that's what makes you happy, keep doing that.
And don't worry about the success of it.
No,
do it because
don't worry
that's
about
what you wanted to do.
Yeah. So
know?
keep doing what keeps you happy, and then also do the other stuff that is your income, your job.
Think about
Play
that.
Sweet Caroline.
If you have to do it,
If you have to do
gotta
it.
make that money, gotta make that bread.
Yeah, but do both. Don't just fall into being a pleaser, you know?
That's right. That's why for me, I would play the covers, but here nobody cares about the music, the actual arrangement. They only care about the singing of it.
Correct.
Right?
That they can sing along, right?
Yeah. So I would kind of like maybe jazz it up a little bit, make it a little more interesting for me to play on acoustic guitar. And that would be like, this is satisfying me from a musical standpoint while doing it in a way that the casual listeners are going to be like, that's way different than the actual song.
Correct. And for me, it is a loop station that does that.
Yeah.
The fact that I have a loop station and I can jam and change it up a little bit.
So cool.
That for me keeps it also interesting, even if I'm playing the same song, the same cover song that I played on the 2 shows ago. I still can do a Metallica reggae version.
Build it differently.
Yeah.
If you've never seen this guy's stuff, I'm going to link you to him in the description because his looper show is amazing.
Thank you, man.
Cold hard truth number 4. You ready for it?
I'm ready.
Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. 100% of the time. This is chaos theory. It's going to happen to you if you're performing live. Has this happened to you?
Yeah.
Of course it has.
Yeah.
What's an example of something that just totally went wrong?
Well, I was playing a gig. It was one of my first gigs in town many, many years ago. A person, an older gentleman, came to request a song or demand a song, whatever you want to call it. Same thing. But he didn't respect the boundaries of where a stage begins. Sometimes there's not a stage, but
You still have your space.
the fact that you got your music stand or your microphone stand, well, it wasn't a. It was the thing, to make it short. It wasn't a wireless microphone. It was a wired mic. He requested a song. His foot got tangled on my cord, and he walked away.
Oh no!
And
he
fell, and he rolled multiple times in the floor.
He really rolled.
He rolled.
He fell and rolled.
I don't know why. I don't know how. But I saw him rolling in the ground, and that made it extra because you see everything in slow motion.
Oh, sure. That's great.
But a fall in slow motion is already dramatic. Now a rolling multiple times in slow motion, that's something that will scare you when you're like, you don't want anybody being harmed, even if he just demanded a song, you know?
For sure. You don't ever want to see a guy roll like that.
No. We all have grandpas or had.
Yeah, for sure.
So
if only you had a Phoenix Pro wireless mic that day.
Yeah,
maybe little Billy.
It would have saved him and me.
Little Johnny would still have a grandfather this Christmas.
Yeah, it was really sad because nobody wants a funeral.
No, at a gig.
So the next day we had to
play the funeral.
Yeah,
they hired you for that.
I gave them a discount.
That's nice.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna charge him full.
After you killed the grandfather.
What was it?
Yeah.
10. I gave them a 10%.
10% off. 10 off.
Well,
that's fair.
A man has to make some money.
You still got to protect yourself.
But yeah, we played at the funeral. It was actually a happy funeral.
Yeah, Sweet Caroline. Was Sweet Caroline. People loved it.
Because they liked me the night before.
Sure.
So they were enjoying my set.
You know, it was very mature of them to not blame you for what was clearly the death of.
They knew.
They knew.
He didn't respect boundaries.
It was time. You know, it was a lesson learned for the kids.
Correct.
Out there.
Yeah.
I have a somewhat similar story. I was playing a New Year's gig, which is usually the best paying night of the year, right? It's like, awesome, swanky place. I usually have pretty good gear. I spend money and I invest in the gear, and it never fails me. So I had the perfect News Bose L1 system with the tone match mixer and everything. First song of the night, the mixer dies on me. It was actually the cable that died. The mixer's fine. I got the cable replaced. Again, doesn't matter. That's why cables, if you can get away from them.
Yeah.
Right? Cable dies, mixer's gone. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. This is
the worst.
It's so embarrassing, right? But we were prepared enough that I could go, I knew that I could go direct into the Bose with just 2 inputs. And I could do that wirelessly because I was
That's good.
wirelessly into the mixer, but the cable that connected the mixer blows, right? Yeah. So again, even worst case scenario, I've played 1,000 shows with the Bose stuff. Nothing has ever failed me. But I was ready for that, thank God.
Yeah.
Now I had to do the show without reverb, which is kind of like
it
hurts your soul a little bit. Yeah,
it's too dry.
But
reverb
again,
is a lubricant for our ears.
It is, which goes back to a previous tip. But anyways, that's a hard truth. If it can go wrong, it will go wrong.
And it will.
That's right. But
it will.
But when you're prepared, you do a good job of protecting your brand.
Protecting your brand.
Which is the final hard truth that you want to talk a little bit about, I've heard. Yeah? What do you got?
Yeah. You have to be your own hype team. You came up with this phrase.
Hype team.
Right? You came up with this phrase. But basically, when you are a musician, you are the product. And we forget because we play for the music, not to sell ourselves.
I'm not a product. I'm a man.
Exactly.
I'm an artist.
And I never wanted to sell myself. I just wanted to play my guitar when I started at 12.
Yeah.
And so now I'm trying to get gigs, right? Obviously, we want to get booked, right? Because that's what we do full time. So I'm like, I'm not going to go into a restaurant and take pictures of all their plates, all their food. And I've done it before, but I learned my lesson. When you see some big company advertising their product, they don't advertise the locations they sell their product at.
That's right.
They don't.
No.
They advertise the product. They make themselves look the best videos, best pictures, and you see the final product against the background, like this background. And it looks beautiful. And what happens? You want the product.
That's right.
So if you want to get booked, hype yourself. Remember you're the product. Get your best pictures, your best videos, and when you post about a gig, post your picture, not the delicious food that they can eat there. It's nice, you know.
I do see a lot of musicians put that on Instagram, like, "Oh, I'm gonna be playing at this tiki bar," and it's like they just have like a picture of like a lobster
the food,
or something.
The lobster, and you know what? You don't have to scroll too far on my Instagram to see that I did it. For years, I did it.
Yeah.
I learned this recently when I had a realization. I was looking at a Skittle commercial that popped up on Instagram.
That's when I usually have my most profound realizations
I know, right?
as well.
I was
Skittles,
like,
yeah.
I'm like, really? They put it was incredibly filmed, and I'm like, they put all this budget and all these cameras to film sugar with artificial coloring falling into a plate, and they put all this gear and money into this campaign, and it's just sugar. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
why can I not be a product that is super hyped, just like the Skittles, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's when I started hyping myself, you know?
I think a lot of people have a hard time doing this, thinking of themselves as a brand. And my advice to you, if that is you, is to not sell yourself, but sell your show. Because it's easy to separate yourself as a person from your actual show. And
hard.
that's the product, because that's what you're selling, right?
It is hard, yeah. But,
You just got to do it. You got to be your own hype team,
yeah.
right?
And that's why it's nice to be, it's nice to be always the way you're gonna be in pictures, you know.
For sure, you know,
Like-
have a clean, consistent image, which is why Phoenix
consistent
Pro
image.
chose to send us these microphones and be like, "Hey, this is our product. Use it in an actual application." Which this is it. The time of the shooting of this video, this whole thing is like under $80 for
It's
two
crazy.
mics, which you can see are working. They have little LED displays on the mics to show you how much battery time is left, which is incredible. These run on batteries, and then the receiver you can charge via USB, and that just goes, like I said, right into like the PA, and then you're good to go.
Yeah, they're handy to have, and they all go to one plug, which is
That's right.
because when you have a small mixer as a solo musician,
Save inputs.
sometimes you just want one input instead of two.
There you go. I love it. So, anyways, those are the cold, hard truths about being a musician. There are more. What are the ones that you would add to the list? Let us know in the comments. Go show Andres some love and get yourself some Phoenix Pro microphones if you're fancy.